And to guide you on the road to the next reality, here's Suzanne Taylor.
You know, as I was waiting for the cameras to start rolling, this refrain just came to me. We gather together to ask the Lord's blessing. Where does that come from even? I'd have looked it up if I'd have thought about it before. But I thought, oh, how appropriate. I mean, yeah. Here we are with this Lord business I think of as the intelligence. Yeah, this is the master game that we're all in, that we'll never know where it came from, but something's running the show. And I got this wonderful booklet, as if you've been watching our show, you know that I've been guided by this booklet since 1989 when it landed in my lap, so to speak. And if you haven't seen the first few shows, you better go back and binge watch, because we're developing something here. We're not just asking idly in the middle of nowhere for blessings. We're developing a whole world of understanding. And anyway, so what I am doing is starting each show with reading a page from this book, and we're up to page 6 because this is the 6th show. So here we go, page 6. Now it starts with the Antidote, but you won't know what that is if you don't remember the last line of page 5, so I'm going to read you that one first. Something must transcend the separation at which you can get good enough to destroy your game, and that something cannot be a better poison. The antidote is the shift from the plane of duality to identifying yourself in a landscape of reality, which is the interconnection of everything. Now I get my little instruction here. Gather a group of people who are blessed by their own authenticity and impelled at this time to be tools for the awakening of humanity to its capacity for intimacy and ecstasy. All right, are you with me? Presence yourselves in reality. Your state of beingness will be your power, and no forms you might impose will be as impacting as the inspiration that will afford. To be with you will be to be with the future, the state of full responsibility and opportunity for which humanity has been designed. Sounds good to me. The awakening to the divine in yourselves is the culminating experience of life, beyond religion, beyond teachers, beyond gurus, beyond following anybody or anything which tries to give you what you don't have. It is time to recognize that the next step into self is a move that each must make in an act of independent authority, and a move that can be made in the company of other independent authorities sharing the energy of being. The particular people who will collect for this endeavor have no exclusive entitlement. They will have heard the call and will respond, I'm calling. With every new participant, a strengthening of the whole will occur. This is uncharted territory which does not bend to rugged individualism, but exists only in co-creation. Meetings where people really meet are in order. I love that. I do that at all my gatherings. You don't just come and listen to the speaker, you come to talk to each other, and I help you do that in interesting ways. Okay. So, meetings where people really meet are in order. We too keep evolving, the intelligence. There is always more. Oh, beautiful. Create your own aliveness, Suzanne. You are a victim as long as you are not creating. Know that you are signaling. You are beaming totality. Right now, it is enough to engage with all who beam back. You are an energy that does not know separation. There is no one to whip into shape. There is no you outside of yourself to work on. Who would be doing the working? All separation is an illusion which produces a tension that is a substitute for life. Knowing self as life, there is nothing to separate from. Do not yearn. Only know yourself. Being yourself is just being. There is nowhere to go and nothing to get. Traveling with life, there is only more life. How long, you ask, is this humanity going to play shell games? How much data about life are they going to sling around without being alive? When are they going to become what they've been worshiping since Jesus issued his invitation and they laminated it instead of acting on it? When are they going to sincerely ask these questions instead of expertly answering other ones. Isn't this good? It's for all of us. It's written Suzanne, it's mine. Could have written Jim or Jonathan or something. Okay, I think. I don't know. But it is a good map for us all. Yeah? Yeah. I'm not in the book now. I'm in a piece of paper that I've written something on, which is a turning point for me coming into kind of this energy. I was always, I've been for, a long time interested in this whole self-development and becoming ourselves. But moving into changing ourselves to changing the world, I got spurred by 9/11 and I changed my outward game. I started writing blog posts, and if you go back and you can get on the website, you can go back and read a whole dossier of many years. It was, oh my goodness, it's been a lot of years after 9/11. I remember it. I was watching TV when one of those planes hit the tower. I said to myself, quote unquote, the world will never be the same. So here's what I wrote on my site that I was changing. America is something different from whatever evils its power structures have imposed on it. Imperfect people come and go, but under all of them is this river of America that the idealistic founding fathers so brilliantly conceptualized. They too were flawed humans, but the spirit of the United States is something else again. The flags waving are for that, not for George Bush. We are one beyond where our leadership steers us. Thank God. We're a hope of the world. Maybe, thanks to this tragedy, we will achieve our promise. Let's pray for that. Let this site be a focal point to pulse the vibe of an awakened humanity. Suzanne Taylor, founder of Mighty Companions. That's my nonprofit. And I'll read you where I got that name. I started this nonprofit in 1989. My service to the world. And the name Mighty Companions comes from a very famous passage in the Course in Miracles. If you know that spiritual work that is not authored by anybody, kind of like my little document here. And it's very popular all over the world. There are study groups all over the world. And, it's a map of reality and awakening and being the person you should be. And they say that everybody is going to be a teacher sooner or later along the path. And I mention that because this little paragraph in which the name Mighty Companions appears says, now comes a period of settling down. This is midway in the path of the teacher. This is a quiet time in which the teacher of God rests a while in a reasonable peace. Now he consolidates his learning, us. Well, this is before we were, politically correct. We couldn't say he. Forgive them. Okay, now he begins to see the transfer of value of what he has learned. Its potential is literally staggering. And the teacher of God is now at the point in his progress at which he sees in it his whole way out. Give up what you do not want and keep what you do. That's the mandate midway along. The teacher of God needs this period of respite. When he is ready to go on, he goes with mighty companions beside him. Now he rests a while and gathers them before going on. He will not go on from here alone. I thought that was a pretty good description of where I was and trying to gather the clan. And then along the way, I had the very, very good fortune to link up. I told you I'm going to bring you some of my heroes because they inspire us. They've gotten there before we have. And the person I want to talk about now is Lex Hickson. Unfortunately, he died at 53 in the early 90s. But he was on kind of the category of the Dalai Lama. He was a huge spiritual avatar. And people who really know the spiritual history, they all know Lex. And I was his buddy. In fact, he thought women should go first. He was very, prescient, is that the word, before his time. And he was always pushing me in front of him. So picture yourself getting pushed in front of the Dalai Lama. You should give the talk. But it was wonderful. It's just wonderful. And he wrote with me, actually, the kind of definition or the paragraph that defines what we were doing. Because he too was gathering the forces to save the world. All right, so here's what we wrote together. A coalition already exists in spirit. It is coming together now, in the social context, by the attraction of its unconventional intelligence and compassionate form of high-mindedness. This natural coalition is drawn together by the recognition that the elevation of consciousness is our fundamental life work. This is a genuinely democratic, self-organizing force, flowing through persons of all descriptions. This force does not flourish as any highly structured form. It's not an institution, or a foundation, or a nonprofit company, or anything conventionally named. The coalition is a living organism, natural, wild, free. It is made up of individuals devoted to serving the world and developing themselves as finely tuned instruments of service. They learn to gather in the energy of will to good, from which authentic goodwill flows out subtly to the entire world. Well, it still holds. I mean, that is what defines this endeavor. And I'm looking for you all. Are you in my coalition? Talk to me on my website if you are. There's another model that I wanted to talk about. I've got some information here to tell you. Because these models are good. These heroes are good. They give us inspiration for who we can be. And then there are people who've gotten trips together. What Lex is talking about is all of us who are of this energy. We don't need to be in a club. We kind of come together because we recognize each other. But it's okay if we also have a club as a piece of what we're doing. And this was a club, but it was quite an outstanding club. It was called the Twilight Club. Actually, it was called a club. I didn't realize that. And it existed all through the last century. Obviously not the same members, a club as a club, and then people come and go. But the members in this club were just extraordinary. I mean, the purpose of this club, here, the best minds interacting to serve the whole. That was the objective of this club. And here's some of the members, just so you're impressed to begin with the nature of this club. Rudyard Kipling, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, Charles Darwin, Ralph Waldo Emerson, Oliver Wendell Holmes, Walt Whitman, Mark Twain, Andrew Carnegie, Thomas Watson, IBM, Cornelius Vanderbilt, Theodore Roosevelt, Calvin Coolidge, Louis Tiffany, Walter Russell. I was not a member of this club, but I actually got involved in trying to revive it. There was an attempt made, 10 years ago or so, to bring it back, to bring the best minds together so they would work together. We don't have any place that's doing that. I mean, that's such a waste of the potential that we have. Why don't we pull the best minds together? I don't have a lot of power. I'm not the Dalai Lama or whatever. I'm not any of these people either. So I'm just making my plea here that hopefully the nature of the plea is powerful enough that it transcends the plea giver. But, again, we're all called to step up now. It's part of all the things I've been reading to you. We don't have to wait and pay homage to great leaders. We can try to run with the baton. So I'll tell you a little bit more about this Twilight Club. They were based on the concept of service to others and the world. All these great people who aren't just so busy talking to audiences and getting grants and writing papers. And no, they were coming together to serve the world. And here's the things that came out of their assemblages, their meetings, their club. I mean, it's quite something. Just think, where would we get such wonderful things today to serve the world? We don't have any place that would produce things like this. The library system, right? The Scout movement, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, the Rotary Club, the Lions Club, the Kiwanis, and then they influenced legislation and the way we were running the world. Here's the things they brought to bear. The elimination of sweatshops, compulsory education. Can you imagine? A group of people created, you have to go to school. And child labor laws, yeah. The Better Business Bureau. I mean, it goes on and on. Oh, how I yearn for such a thing today. And when this opportunity or this invitation or this, I discovered that they were trying to revive this, I got right in the middle of it. But it wasn't the right auspice. The person who was heading that up wanted to make all the rules himself. Well, you can't do that. This is a coalition. And it just didn't go anywhere, except a lot of frustration about how would we get it to happen. If I could accomplish something like this in my lifetime, I would have considered it a huge, worth my being here. So I'm on it, I'm chasing it. Andrew Carnegie was responsible for the whole library system in his lifetime. He gave away $350 million. That's billions today. And the inventor of modern philanthropy. But he also did something else that was quite unusual. He latched on to somebody who interviewed him, Napoleon Hill. You know him? And he gave him the assignment of interviewing 500 successful people he knew, that Carnegie knew, who were successful like himself, and formulating the laws of success. 20 years it took Napoleon Hill to create Think and Grow Rich. He is the granddaddy of all motivational literature before the New Age. And it had, by 1970, it had sold 20 million copies. That came out of this wonderful movement of intelligent people trying to do their best, for the earth and to make this world work. We so need something like that today. Come on, you power brokers out there. Put out the call. I'll come help you. So much for old inspirations. Now I'm going to take you on to a new one. I picked up this article. Oh, thank goodness for the internet, where we can print out wonderful things that we wouldn't see otherwise. And this is an inspiration also. How are we going to change this world? What would those power brokers institute? What would they put in motion? Well, here's something they could put in motion, a curriculum for schools, because they're trying this thing somewhere in, where are they trying? Wisconsin. Okay. The headline of this article, the name of this article is, What if Schools Taught Kindness? And here's the example of a school that's doing that. It's very beautiful. We'll put the link on the website. You can go and read it. But every school teaches math and reading, but what about mindfulness and kindness? Well, they took pre-kindergarten kids, 4-year-old kids, and they put them through all kinds of exercises of being kind to one another. You'll see a picture of a bulletin board or a board where every time they did something kind to somebody, they put it up there. They have interactive exercises they did with one another, little 4-year-olds. And the results were wonderful. They did much better than the test group that didn't have any of this stimulation. And it makes such sense. They turned them into different adults. They were not the same adults as us, And how simple. You just start with kids who are young and you teach them to care about each other. You teach them to do that. We hold it as fundamental. We understand do unto others all the preachy things that are true. But schools to teach that with methodologies, I was just knocked out by that. Teaching kindness is a way to bubble up widespread transformation that doesn't require big policy changes or extensive administrative involvement. You get it at the core. I said, what ideas are outside the box? We're not doing these things now. Well, this is the sort of thing we can do. We just have to get the idea to do it. And then somebody developed a curriculum and somebody funded it, So come on, you powerful, rich people. Get your heads together. Do things like this for the world. We need this. So the end of our show, here it is. Ready for your homework assignment? Yeah. I was watching Nature, a series that's on PBS. Oh, it was so dear. Kind of the nature. Oh, okay, I know about animals. I know about, beautiful scenery. Oh, well, I'll just watch anyway. Oh, I'm so glad I did. You know, any subject, not that that's a boring subject, but it can be anything, and any subject in the hands of an artist is, very enjoyable or, well worth it. So the artistry in nature is just wonderful. And here's the quote that I liked from the episode I watched. Animals everywhere find that teamwork is the key to survival. And they showed you all these pairings of animals, the little fish that come and eat the algae off the whales, and they scrape the barnacles off the whales, and they clean the whales in the process. It was so dear, and it's available online, PBS, however you get your stuff, in all the ways in which this modern miracle world delivers. So you guys, you go watch nature. You'll love it. And then come back for more inspiration and entertainment along the road to the next reality.
To check out all the references mentioned by Suzanne and to have your own say about the show and about the world, go to suspeaks.org.